Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a group coaching session, the group coaching session. It is June 7th, and I've got a question that I'm going to start off with and see if anyone pops in to say hello while we're live. Remember, if you can't join it live, you can send me your emails and I will answer the question to my best abilities. Sometimes I do reach out for a little bit more information because like the whole coaching thing is really all about getting to know you personally and then making educated decisions from there, because we're all different, right? Everyone can have very similar issues, but we need to address it in different ways. So I think this question stems from an IG story that I did asking, when's the last time you did nothing? And there was a high response for over like months. And I can completely relate to this before my fertility journey, during my fertility journey, and then obviously when I stepped into motherhood, there just becomes like a completely different level of doing nothing, right? Because you have other people to take care of. And if you don't conquer the art of doing nothing and sitting in stillness, it just becomes a little bit harder when you do have children. But the question is, when I'm doing nothing, I feel like I'm not going to achieve the ultimate goal. And a lot of us are really wired to believe that we have to be doing to receive, or for the outcome to come to us quicker, or to get what we want. And while there is a time and a place for doing, it kind of goes against the whole rest and relaxation and support your adrenals if you're constantly going. So I have a one-to-one client that during one of our sessions, she talked about, I'll add that to my list, my fertility list, like a specific list of things she needs to do to improve her fertility. And I was like, oh, whoa, wait, let's not keep adding to the amount of things that we are doing to help improve our situation, because I can clearly see the one thing that would radically change the direction of your journey and really increase your health and better improve your egg quality is doing nothing, like not adding another thing to make sure you're doing. And I think a lot of the times we just fall into these pit holes of like, well, if I'm not doing something, then it's not going to happen for me, or I wish I would have done that and then my result would have been different. And as long as you feel in alignment with the things that you can control, and you've made better decisions with your diet, your lifestyle, your products, the toxic, chemicals in the air, as much as you can control them. And then the people in your life, how you show up on social media, who you're following, what programs you're watching on the TV, as long as you feel way more in alignment on what you're doing is the right direction for you, then that's the time to tap into doing less. So instead of reading yet another book or listening to yet another podcast about fertility and something maybe that you can do, is tapping into something that really truly brings you joy. And now, like, don't get me wrong, like learning about these things definitely brought me joy. And even in my own kind of very woo-woo spiritual journey that entrepreneurship has pushed me into, there comes a time and a point where you're listening to literally the same thing over and over again, maybe just in a different voice or someone's delivering it differently. But once you're like, okay, I know this and there's nothing else more I need to add to my regime, I just need to sit in kind of the silence of healing. And I think that's why healing is kind of so frustrating and really hard for people to do, is because you can't speed up the process, right? You can only eliminate the inflammation, add in the right supplementation, and then on all the physical things that you need to do to reduce your stress levels, to, you know, like get off the social media, to stop watching like super crappy TV all the time, staying up too late because you're doing these things, working too much, people pleasing, trying to be, you know, the best daughter, like all those things that, you know, we get sucked into. You kind of just have to sit in silence. And this kind of just like made me think about my own journey when I literally moved from York, England to Rosniga, Wales. And on my last day of York was my transfer for my second embryo, frozen embryo transfer. Woke up, stayed the night at a friend's house because we had already moved out of our house, drove to the clinic, did the transfer by myself because my husband was already at his new job, and drove from York to Rosniga, which is a pretty like long drive, 5 hours, 6 hours. And during this time of, we found out that I was pregnant, but then we found out that I had missed the heartbeat. We had kind of 9 weeks of this lag of, it was like a really nice vacation. We lived on the beach in Rosniga. It was a beautiful summer in Wales, which is like pretty rare. And there was nothing I can do. Like, I had a miscarriage. We weren't going to jump back into another treatment anytime soon because we kind of had to let the dust settle on many different levels. I wasn't working because we were actually really moving from York to Lincolnshire. I wasn't looking for a job. We had already decided that I wasn't going to go back to work, at least right away. And all I could do was kind of sit in my own joy, because at that stage, even though I was incredibly sad that I had the miscarriage, I was very much on the way to healing, and really conscious. I was like, pretty good at journaling every morning. The 5-minute journal that you've seen all through the course, that is definitely something that I did during that time, and just really tapped into gratitude and being thankful for my surroundings. And I actually ended up being incredibly creative, which I don't actually really talk about much, but not to toot my own horn, but I'm a very good knitter, crocheter, sewer. I created these busy books, for the future. And I just really sad. I knitted myself a jumper for the first time ever. It was my first and last jumper that I ever knitted myself. But I just really sat with joy and gratitude, and I really slowed the fuck down and kind of did nothing because I didn't have any more things to achieve, right? And I do believe that time was a real massive time for healing and acceptance, and really pushed and contributed to, a successful outcome with our second frozen embryo transfer. Did I say that was the second? That was the first frozen embryo transfer. But it was the first time ever. And I would like to say that it lasted. But just being reminded about that, tapping into that energy, and now trying to get back there while being, a leader in this community, while being a mom, while being a wife, really just tapping into that creative side. And that's what brought me joy. And, I talk a lot about within the course, like, bring joy into your life now. Don't wait for the 2 pink lines. Don't wait till 12 weeks. Don't wait till the birth. Don't wait till your child's 1 year, old. It's really tapping into that joy. And when you're able to do nothing, and I'm not saying nothing like just sitting on the couch, like nothing in the sense that you feel like I have to do this to be productive. Like I'm literally just knitting. Like I used to knit kid stuff, like baby stuff. That was actually what I really enjoyed knitting. And I would do it for no reason, right? There was a pattern, there was colors that I saw, and I just knitted. And a lot of the stuff I got to use for my 2 boys, and a lot of the stuff that I knitted for girls, I never used and I've just given away. But I never had like a solid, like or I rarely had a solid, like I'm making this for this, right? And it's really important to tap into that energy and reconnect. And what I'm learning is that with the masculine and feminine, like the yin and yang, is with the masculine side is all about doing, right? Like it's about building the forts, it's about finding the food, it's about, all those things, achieving just to live what our ancestors did. And what we do on the masculine side is go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. And which is needed, right? Like you can't have one without the other. You can't just be feminine and open to receiving all the time. Sometimes you do have to do those physical steps to be able to receive. And so when you take time to, I don't even know, like bask in the masculine things that you have done, right? I have done an amazing job with my diet. I've meal planned. That is a masculine doing thing. And so now I can receive the benefits while I don't have to stress out on a Wednesday afternoon when I'm eating, or come home on a Thursday and stress about what I have to cook, because I've done that. And really just sitting with yourself and allowing these things to happen. And for a lot of us, it's just incredibly hard to do. And it just takes practice and acceptance. And just remember that your journey, you have to think about it like a seed. You don't put a seed in the ground and just pray and hope that the next day you're going to have the flower or the fruit, right? It takes time to do the things it needs to do. And during that time, you do have to care for it, right? You have to find what's right for that plant. Too much water, not enough water, too much sunlight, not enough sunlight. But no, and with the seed, you can't see what's happening. You cannot see what's going on until it starts to sprout, and you're like, okay, I've gotten a little bit of success. And that's why we look at all of our small goals during the course as well. Like we can't base pregnancy as the only successful marker of our journey, because if we do, then we will literally feel like we're failing every single month. So remember to keep watching your normal common health issues disappear or greatly improve. And remember that when we're healing the inside of us, sometimes when we aren't dealing with a weight issue or a skin issue, an outside feature is really hard to see if it's working, because we can't see what's going on, right? Just think of it as a seed and just have faith. And remember, tap into that hope portion of the course. It's new, is that hope is the driving seat. When you keep your hope level high and you believe in your body's ability and just keep focusing on the ultimate goal in a healthy way, great things do happen. So when you are struggling with, trying to slow the fuck down and doing nothing on, a more consistent basis, you just have to be graceful for yourself, to yourself, for yourself, to yourself. And just remember, it's just like your diet. It's something that you are addicted to. The firewire, all your connections in your brain are focused and trained to be a certain way. And so you have to be really gracious for yourself. And even if it's just scheduling in literally 5 minutes to do nothing, and not get distracted, that's like a win. And just keep building up and building up with it. That's why it's really important with finding your joy and find something that you absolutely love to do, because when you get immersed in that, it's the same as meditation. You get into that flow of creativity, and if you allow yourself not to be distracted by like, even if you just put on music or put on vibrations or different sounds, and like not watch in front of the TV or things that can distract you, even listening to audiobooks, you get into that same flow. And that is incredibly beneficial to all areas of your body, just like meditation is. So once again, if you're struggling with just meditation and just lying there for 10-15 minutes, really tapping into something that brings you joy, that is slow, right? I know there's a lot of times that we get addicted to exercise, and while I do believe it brings some people joy, it's just not good on your adrenals right now. So try to think of something, like if you haven't accessed that part of the course yet, or you just skipped it, it's vitally important. Like everything that I've put into this course is really, really important for the big picture. And if you're like, oh, I didn't do that, this is the time to really go back in and discover, like, okay, what does bring me joy? What makes my soul light on fire? Something I can sit and literally talk to people about all day long, or something that I can sit and do for like 2 hours. And this could be reading a book, right? Like, I'm reading like a nonfiction book. So like not a book about fertility or health or mindfulness or any of that stuff, like really just letting yourself go into a different world of fantasy and enjoyment, and really tapping into that. And yeah, getting used to receiving, because if you're here, you are doing enough. And if you feel like, I just have not found what it is that, maybe even the right diet, or, you're struggling with stress levels or whatever it is, reach out in the community and just ask questions. Like, that is the best way to really get to your ultimate goal. So I hope that this has helped learning to slow the fuck down. I know it's a really big part of the course, and just make sure that you go back into that and tap into those areas, and, look at your schedule and find ways to deschedule yourself, ways to say no to people, whether that be friends or family, or especially your work. Put up big, big boundaries. And, just remember, when you're setting boundaries for yourself, you tend to be more forgiving when you cross those boundaries. So make them achievable, right? Like, you don't want to beat yourself up over them, but just think of, like, in a relationship, if you've asked someone not to do something because either it's not serving your highest purpose or just it's annoying as shit, set those boundaries for yourself. And my best advice, when you feel like you can't stick to that boundary, it is usually tied to self-love and self-worth. And so you have to work on those two things in a subconscious way. And in a conscious way, what you keep doing, or what you keep saying to yourself, and let's just take alcohol, for example, because that was like one of my biggest struggles. I will not drink tomorrow. Tomorrow, I am not going to drink. And I just said it to myself again and again and again. And it took a long time. I mean, obviously, during my fertility journey, I stopped. And that was really easy because I wanted a family and I knew physically I had to, but I didn't do it for me. So when this time around, I wanted to stop drinking. And it was just really social drinking. It wasn't even close to what I used to drink as a 20-year-old. But I knew it wasn't serving me. I knew that it wasn't a place I wanted to be anymore. And I was doing it out of, boredom a lot of the time, habits, and then a little bit of the self-worth, like, well, it doesn't matter, I don't have this going on tomorrow, or oh, I'm not doing this, like, I don't need to have like a sharp brain. It was like, no, I want to be alert for my children. I want, like, not hungover. I was never hungover. I'm not painting myself in a very good light right now, but you just have to know yourself. Some people can have 1 or 2 drinks a night and not feel the effects at all the next day. That's just not how I am anymore. So going back to you, and if you feel like you're not sticking to those commitments, to the boundaries you've set for yourself, work on the self-love and the self-worth side of it subconsciously. And there's obviously lots of links to do that within the course. And keep saying out loud to yourself or in your head, tomorrow I'm not going to drink. And I even have, I don't know why I did this. It was like an activity. Monica does. Monica, what does it say? Monica is and does. And the first thing on top of it is Monica limits her drinking and at times doesn't drink at all. So write these things down and just keep them in the forefront of your head, your brain, and just visualize it. And eventually your subconscious mind is like, oh, you're not that person you were anymore. Brilliant. Like, this is easy. And this time around, not drinking has been so easy. And I am surrounded by alcohol all the time. My family's still into it. My husband still occasionally drinks. The society that I live in, there's a bar on every single corner. But it's been really easy. And I think it's because of the continuous subconscious and conscious work of like, that's not who I want to be. That's not who I want to be. And eventually you won't be that person. And these are the small things, right? Like, we can't necessarily do this with pregnancy. I wish that all you had to do was sit there and keep telling yourself, I'm going to be pregnant. I'm going to be pregnant. You can do that, but also remember it's physical things that we need to put into place as well with big achievements like that, big goals. Let's take, for example, like, I'm going to be a millionaire, right? Like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. Now, I can't become a millionaire without doing or taking action and taking the right actions to get me there. So it's the same with pregnancy. I couldn't become pregnant without taking the right actions that I needed to take to lower the inflammation, reverse my autoimmune issue to be able to carry a baby. Where the things like, I'm not going to eat gluten, I'm not going to drink alcohol, I'm not going to scroll on social media, those are just more accessible things that you can literally trick your brain into not doing or doing. I go to the gym every single day, right? Or not every single day, don't go to the gym every single day. 3 times a week. And if you consistently aren't showing up, you just keep telling yourself, I go to the gyms Monday, Tuesday, Friday. And I do low impact stuff. Remember, low impact stuff. So I hope I went on for a lot longer than I was intending to, but I hope this has been really helpful. And remember, reach out, ask questions. That's the value of this course. Not many courses out there have a live aspect to it that are evergreen. A lot of courses are within certain time frames, and coaches just coach during that time frame, where the formula is completely different. It's live coaching twice a month, every month. And as we grow, it will become even more. So just make sure you access that part of the course. I mean, all the course content is amazing, if I do say so myself, but I know where the secret sauce is, and that's in the coaching. So have a beautiful day, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys again soon.